Hey guys, Sandy here, and today I am up with day 8 for my December project, and I have a photo today. This is a photo of Dan the Gnome Man. He is the big gnome that we purchased this year. He is a pretty big guy. We have added a gnome or more to our collection since we moved here to California. So let's see what I can do. So the first thing I do is pull out these ornament stamps and dies from Tailored Expressions, and they are the Shiny and Bright stamp set and dies. Now I don't know if they're still available. I purchased them probably a year or two ago now, and this is the first time I'm using them, so yay. Now Tailored Expressions does have rubber stamps, and I'm just taking the ornaments and trying to figure out how I want them to lay on my paper. Because I do know I'm going to have this big expanse down here that is going to be covered up with my gnome photo. And I'm just looking at them, trying to figure out what I am going to do. So I am going to grab my Misty, and I am going to use my Misty to get these down. So I'm just stamping on a sheet of white cardstock. And then I'm just picking them one by one and figuring out what color I want to emboss them. Now I do emboss them all with different colors. I use Emerald City and Christmas Eve, and the black and the white, I don't remember the names, are all from Brutus Monroe. The gold is not from Brutus Monroe. I don't remember what company it's from, but the gold is not from Brutus Monroe. I am just using a Versamark ink pad to ink up my stamp really well. I'm going to use my Misty, press down really well on that stamp, and then I'm going to heat emboss it. So I just grab my little embossing bucket here. I actually have 2 buckets of embossing. One is like colors I use all the time, and one is full of colors, like different colors. So I go ahead, tap that back in, and then I am going to go ahead and heat emboss it. Now I do heat emboss from the bottom just a little bit, just because this day it was kind of chilly in my room, and I didn't want the embossing powder to kind of fly off everywhere. So there it is all done. Now I could have put this back in the Misty and embossed it again and gotten a really, really smooth look, but I decided for this Christmas ornament I didn't want the smooth look. I want it kind of like the modeled look, so it would kind of feel more like a real metallic ornament. So then I go ahead and emboss all of them up, and then I am going to die cut them as well. I am using my Cuttlebug. Now, as you can see, my plate is broken, and I do know that they have stopped making the Cuttlebug, so I am on the market for a new small die cut machine. I'm perfectly happy with my big Sizzix for my large die cutting, but I am on the in the market for a smaller one. So this was really cool. 2 of the dies cover 2 different ornaments, so that was awesome, and I have them all cut out. Now you can't really see the white one with the snowflakes, but it's really cool, and the texture is really awesome, and in person it's just amazing. So I'm super happy with the way that these have turned out. Now I just need to arrange them, and I don't remember the pattern I had them in originally. So I come up with something new, and I like this pattern as well. I think originally the round guy was up closer to the top, and I had the 2 kind of like Christmas bulby shape ones were on the right hand side. But like I said, totally happy with how this turned out. Now I just need to figure out what I'm going to do to make it kind of a cohesive moment. I do switch around the black and the green. I like that a little bit more. And it's just a matter of figuring that out. So I do know that I'm going to put some like some foam squares on the back of these bad boys because they are going to be popped off the page. I do know that I'm going to be adding some sort of string so that they are hanging off the page and they aren't just, you know, chilling there. I'm thinking about adding some stamping underneath of it, but I'm like, I really don't want to add too much. I want the focus to be on these ornaments that are hanging down. Even though my story has nothing to do with ornaments, that's okay because it's all part of Christmas. My story is about Dan the Gnome Man, and you know, I just like the ornaments for it, so that's what we're doing. Now I am just using regular old thread. I bought this thread a long time ago at Joann's. It's just black thread. I am going to kind of like double it up so when it hangs down and the ornaments hang from it, it is just a little bit thicker than one sheet of thread. Now, not all of these ornaments have little hole pokes through with the dies, so I just grabbed a my little pokey mat and a little pokey tool and opened up the holes on the ornaments that did not have them. Now I thought about adding bows as well so that they were kind of like hanging down with strings and bows, but honestly I really didn't feel like tying bows out of sewing thread, so I didn't do it. And that is the brutally honest truth of why these ornaments don't have bows, even though I think that they would be stupid cute with them. So there it is. And I didn't get my little hole poked through thick enough or wide enough, so I went ahead and just opened it up a little bit with these tiny scissors. And the only thing I'm going to do on the back to adhere the string is to adhere it with washi tape. And then as you can see, it was totally crooked and I want my ornaments to hang down straight. So I just popped that up and then popped it down one more time. And I went ahead and did that for all of the strings. And then I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that it's kind of just like falling off the page everywhere. There's not a cohesive moment. So I decided to mat this entire layout on some black cardstock. And I did that, I chose black for two reasons. I felt like it would kind of, the strings going off the page would kind of melt into the black cardstock, so they didn't just look like they were just coming off the page. You know, they're just like all of a sudden you have these strings and you're like, where did these come from? And then plus I really wanted something that was high contrast against this creamy white and red look of the paper. So I just was testing it out there to make sure that I had cut out the size correctly, because I really didn't want to have, you know, the other side of that page poking through. So I adhered it down right there, and then there we go. We have the beautiful ornaments, and you know, this totally probably should have been an ornament page, but you know what? I don't care. I love it the way it is. So here is the photo of Dan the Gnome Man, and it's kind of hard to tell with these insects pictures. I wanted to give it a little bit of perspective for size, but like I said, hard to tell with the insects pictures. So hopefully whoever's looking at this can tell that Dan the Gnome Man is pretty large. Like he's pretty big. So I laid down this polka dot washi tape. I thought that that would give it a great base. I'm also pulling out this acrylic white heart from Close to My Heart, and I'm thinking like there needs to be something more. There's an awful lot of white down here and I want it to be colorful. So I'm looking around, I pull out this Winter Cabin collection from Brutus Monroe. I decide to mat my photo on top of this kind of like sliced off section of wood pattern. And that just gives me a good dark background with the wood grain that is, you know, throughout the book already. And then I grab my Wreath Builder stamp set from Gina K, and I grab this pretty little one with these kind of like delicate leaves on it. And I'm just going to stamp that down there. I'm not going to pull out the Misty or anything like that. I'm just stamping one little circle, so I decide to use my acrylic block. I do use some amalgam ink from Gina K. It is probably my favorite black ink. And then I just make sure to press it down really well And I love the way it turned out. I stamp off a little bit on the back of this paper, and don't tell anyone, but I did not wash that stamp before I put it away. I just stamped it off a little bit. So now I have this little bit of base down there. It gives it a little bit of fun. I really like how it kind of encircles the heart there. And then I'm going to add some adhesive to Dan the Gnome Man and get him down. And I don't like where he is exactly. I do just a slight angle, just ever so slightly, not so much where you're looking at my album and you feel like you need to turn your head to see it. It's just a slight angle, so it adds a little bit of interest down here to the page, because there is a lot going on in that upper part of the page with those ornaments. And like I said, it just looks like a white ornament hanging down, but the snowflake and the texture is gorgeous in person. So I take some of these glue dots and I put 2 of them because they have a little bit of thickness to them, and it will allow my heart to lay evenly across the photo and the paper, so you don't have the little wobbly business that happens. So I go ahead and get that down there. And now I'm thinking I need to add a little bit more decoration. There's a whole lot of black and white down here and not a lot of color. So I decide to go with the Christmas tree just because I like the shape of it, and I think it nestles really well right there with that heart. And then I decide to take these little puffy stars, and these are all from Paper House, and I just sprinkle them around each of the ornaments. And it's not in any like specific way, even though I'm noticing the 4 ornaments on the right all have them on the upper right, and the poor ornament over here on the left with the music, the sheet music embossing, has it on the upper right. That's okay, like it's fine. So it's not as random as I thought it was, but that's okay. It looks good. I like the way it looks. I added the heart directly onto the stamped part of the wreath down here, and then I just went ahead and added some extra adhesive for the Christmas tree as well. Now I do need to get my number on here, and I'm going to do that with the Indigo and Ivy gold kind of puffy stickers, and I'm just taking the number 8. And I was trying to figure out, like, do I really want it here on the heart? And yes, indeedy, I do want it there on the heart, but I felt like the heart needed a little bit of something else, so I take the 8 off just for a second, and I'm going to grab some flat stickers because really it needs a little bit more. And like, see, I'm trying it all over the place. I definitely know I want to use the gold 8 because I have gold throughout the album already, and I just want to keep doing those little touches. So I find this little flat snowflake. I layer the number 8 right on top of it, and then I bring it up to the heart, and there we go. We've got some decoration on that heart. I've got the 8 decorated, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. So I'm going to go ahead and slip that into the page protector, and then I need to figure out how I'm going to add my journaling. So we're going to do a little insert. I grab this little half kind of circle thing right here. Now I really like the trees on the back of the insert here. Not too big of a fan of the poinsettia and the fake label. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to cut out, where I'm going to cut it out from, just to make sure that I'm covering this up and going to decorate it and add my own little touch to it. So I'm going through and I find the perfect paper, and it is called Festive Ornaments, and it's from the Cartabella line Christmas from 2018. And there it is, and this is where I make a mistake, but I catch it, so that's awesome. I trace around, and then I realize that my ornaments are going to be off to the side. They're going to be facing outwards. So I grab my favorite Staedtler eraser. This white eraser is like my absolute favorite ever since I was in school, and we needed one for art class. I have been in love with it, and this is like the eraser I pick. So I went ahead and retraced that half circle so that my ornaments would be facing the correct direction. And I just cut it out. And then I'm going to add adhesive to it and make sure that it lines up really nicely. I'm going to add it all on the edges so that it connects really well. And then of course going to add some adhesive in the middle too, because more adhesive is better. Oh, do I not add it in the middle? Come on, Sandy, add. Oh, I didn't add the adhesive in the middle. Unbelievable. Okay, so we got that down. Looks like it sticks. I thought for sure I had adhesive in the middle because like it's solidly stuck together, you guys, solidly. But I guess I didn't. Okay, so now I'm just rubbing the little bit of adhesive off that kind of like poked through the edges. And that's the good thing about ATG adhesive. You can just kind of rub it off and it makes little adhesive boogers, but they come off really easily. I used my crocodile to punch holes, and then I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, that's cute. I like how that looks. Something's gonna go on the back there, but let me work on this. So I'm feeling like I like this a lot. The shapes from the ornaments are really similar to what I stamped out. Now I thought about stamping out another ornament, and then I was like, no, this is where the journaling's gotta go. So I grabbed a scrap of vellum, and I'm gonna go ahead and trace on the vellum as well. And then I'm gonna cut that out. And then this is going to be what I am actually going to write on. Now I knew I wanted something decorative on this piece as well, because realistically, even though these ornaments have very similar shapes to the ornaments I have on the left hand side, the vellum really mutes it, and then the writing on top of it, like you can still tell that there are ornaments there, but they're not so pronounced. Let's just say that. So I've got to figure out what decoration is going to go there. And this is me thinking about it and trying to figure out like what I should put here. Should I put the decoration underneath of the vellum so that it's between the vellum and the paper? Like what should I do here? This is what I'm trying to figure out. I have these Joy letter stickers that have been chilling out up on the top of my craft mat for a couple days now, and I don't know what's going on there, but I think Oh What Fun will go well, especially because I'm telling the story of a gnome. So I'm going to put that down, and then I'm going to add adhesive to the back of it just so that it really sticks on the vellum, because again, this is an insert that is not going to be in a page protector. It is going to be handled, and I want to make sure that it stays together. I would prefer that it not fall apart. So I like the way this looks. I like the kind of placement of it, and then I'm just going to use my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to really get this stuff in place and where I want it to go. Now my journaling talks about Dan the Gnome Man, of course. And I mean, this isn't the entire story of the gnomes, but it's good enough. Like I'm not gonna like have some sort of big long dedication about the gnomes. Now I am using the sticker on its own sticker sheet as kind of a template as to where I should be placing each of the words and letters here, because I want it to be lined up for sure. I'm also using the grid mat underneath of the vellum because you can totally see through it. That's the beauty of vellum. The beauty and the curse of vellum, actually. You can totally see through it, so you can line things up, and then, like I said, you can totally see through it. So, got to be careful with that glue. Okay, so that's going to go down there. I am going to add the little gold holly and berries just because I think it's super cute. So I add those on there as well. And then I am again going to use my grid mat and the vellum, and then I am going to go ahead and write my journaling. So as you can see, you can totally tell the lines underneath of the grid mat, so it makes it really easily to write neatly and straight. That way I don't have any kind of like mountains or valleys or anything with my writing. So I line it up. First, I'm just looking at it to making sure that it looks good. And then I'm like, oh, better punch the holes in here because I don't want to punch through any important words. So there I have that. I'm lining it up, and then I'm going to write down my journaling. And it says, this year we added Dan the Gnome Man to our growing collection. We started purchasing Christmas gnomes when we moved to California. Each year we find a really fun one to add. This guy is the largest one we have. He hangs out in the living room sitting on a bench. He's super soft. Christopher came up with the name Dan the Gnome Man. It's super fun to say. So that is going to wrap up the journaling and the layout for day number 8. Now I am using a Sharpie ultrafine point marker in black because it really does dry quickly on the vellum, so I don't have to worry a lot about smearing, because smearing in the Christmas album just stinks. Mostly because you only have one of each thing. So if you mess it up, you're like, oh, and I don't like to do that. So we have that down, and then I'm going to adhere the vellum to the half circle as well. Now I thought about leaving it loose, like I had left the tag loose earlier, but like I said, I wasn't feeling it. Maybe because it was, I don't know. I just felt like it needed to be connected. So I went ahead and glued the back of the holly and the Oh What Fun, as you can see here. And then I'm going to lay that down right on top of my other part of my half circle, making sure that my punched holes are lined up so that it'll move really smoothly. And then that is going to do it. We're going to get that in the album. And day 8 and the story of Dan the Gnome Man is finally finished. So look at that. All done, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you again real soon for another December daily journal project video.